And that's the reason why we rejoice in this day. We're going to have a great day. Today is Mindset Wednesday, and we'll be talking about a mindset that gets you on the right path. Because you are what you think. No matter what it is, you are what you think. And we'll be telling you some of the things that you can do to navigate it right. All right? Beautiful. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has dismissed claims that a special police squad is targeting protesters, insisting that such a unit would be illegal and unconstitutional. Speaking at Harambee House, Murkomen stated that there is no known police squad involved in killing people, emphasizing it will be unconstitutional and illegal, adding that a policy directive on the use of force and firearms by police will be issued by the end of this week. His remarks comes days after President William Ruto ordered security agencies to deal decisively with those looting and destroying property during protests by shooting them in the leg.
So whether is wearing a uniform or not, is a police officer, and that police officer is bound by the law. There's no rules that excuse a police officer that if you are not in uniform, you can commit crimes or you can kill people. The same law that abhors killing of citizens by a police officer in uniform is the same law that also abhors the same from a police officer who is not in uniform. There are clearly indicated situations where a police officer may not be required to be in uniform. And sometimes when they're doing investigations. And some investigation officers are always embedded in these situations to make sure that they collect evidence immediately that will help in apprehending criminals. Police officers also, whether they're using a Subaru or walking on foot or using a lorry, are expected also to abide by the law. And that's why we say that any claims that there is a police officer who is killing people, whether he's in civilian or not, must be investigated, and we must ensure that those who have been affected by their actions are brought to justice. So there is no excuse. The dress code of a police officer is not an excuse. In fact, a police officer who sleeps in his house and there is an emergency, and he needs to rescue a citizen, does not need to wear a uniform. Just wake up and go and rescue, and then do what you need to do as a police officer. Then the rest is, the uniform is just for identification, when you need identification. So the point here I want to make here is that all cases of excesses reported will be investigated equally. Number two is to say that there is no non-police squad that is involved in killing people, at least not in this administration, and not that the cabinet secretary is aware of. It would be unconstitutional and illegal to establish a squad anywhere in Kenya to kill people. All the squads, all the police formations and units in the Republic are intended to protect people, not to kill people.
You know, it's pretty interesting. Do you think if there was a police squad, he would tell us there was? Well, at the same time, a total of 42 people were killed and 1,500 others injured and arrested across the country in connection with the violence and destruction witnessed during the June 25th and July 7th demonstrations. Interior CS Kipchumba described the 2 days of unrest as pure premeditated criminality, deliberate, dangerous, and deeply disturbing, noting that what occurred was not a protest but a coordinated campaign to subvert public order and the Constitution. Addressing the press, the CS stamped the scale of violence and destruction as unprecedented, revealing that another close to 600 people were injured, among them 496 police officers.
Arising out of these unprecedented attacks, close to 1,500 people have been arrested countrywide and are facing various charges, including terrorism, murder, robbery with violence, sexual assault, arson, malicious damage to property, and targeted attacks on strategic national infrastructure. Of these, 50 individuals are currently under investigation by various crimes investigation units, while 71 cases are being handled by the anti-terrorism police unit for offenses related to acts of terrorism. We commend our security agencies for foiling further destruction and wish a quick recovery to the officers injured during this unprecedented violence. The operation was made possible through timely intelligence, which revealed plans to target critical infrastructure, including transport systems. Intelligence-led operations across various counties have resulted in the arrest of individuals believed to be masterminds and financiers, plus the instigators and the direct perpetrators of these criminal acts, including those responsible for incitement to violence and politically motivated mobilization intended to stoke public unrest.
Now, these statistics, maybe I'm wrong. He says 600 people are injured and 496, meaning around 500, were police officers. Meaning, of the 600 people who were injured, 500 were police officers and the rest of Mwananchi were 100. That's funny. The number, you're saying the number injured people were 600, approximately 500 were police officers. So the ordinary Mwananchis who are injured during the protest were only 100. Does that make sense? Isn't stories ajaba. The Police Reforms Working Group has strongly criticized the police for using excessive force during the Sabasaba protest, which resulted in numerous deaths and injuries. Amnesty International Kenya Executive Director Irungu Houghton and Transparency International Kenya Director Sheila Masinde expressed deep concern over the widespread human rights violation. They reported that at least 38 people were confirmed dead across the country. Over 500 civilians and police officers were injured, and the estimated economic loss could be as high as 1.1 billion.
Kenya's hard-won democratic gains were marred by state violence, unlawful policing tactics, and systematic impunity.
Police officers are required to clearly issue warnings to the crowd, to use less lethal methods like tear gas, to use only proportional force, and to report every use of a firearm to their superior and to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Eyewitnesses have told us that ambulances arrived at the scenes. Some witnesses saw injured bodies being loaded into the ambulances, which were then driven off to unknown locations. Disturbedly, several ambulances were seen trailing the unmarked Subarus, raising serious concerns about the coordination and the purpose of the response.
We're also calling on the National Police Service to uphold its constitutional role in protecting life, facilitate peaceful protests, and hold officers accountable for unlawful killings and serious injuries. We're also calling on Parliament to provide oversight on the conduct of security agencies and act decisively to protect the rights of Kenyans.
As the Police Reforms Working Group, we are calling for an immediate waiver on all the medical bills, the post-mortem fees, and also the state to provide funeral support for all the family members of protesters that have died in the Sabasaba rallies and the one that was there before.
Now, Lucy Ngugi, the mother of the 12-year-old Bridget Njoki Wainaina, was shot gave a moving tribute during a sorrowful funeral mass at their local church in Githunguri, where she reflected on the person she had hoped her daughter would grow up to become. Bridget was killed by a stray bullet on the evening of the Saba Saba protest. The former pupil of Benson Jai Primary School, where she and other learners had been asked to stay at home due to safety concerns during the Saba Saba protest, was eulogized by her mother as a warm, affectionate, and loving child.
Bridget, my daughter, Saba Saba will be forever etched in my heart. I lost part of me. I'm shattered beyond words. 12 years seems like a day. And Bridget, you will forever be 12 years old. I thought you will grow and be a beautiful woman from the girl you are. But that bullet has shattered my dreams. The doctor you'd have become, the accountant you'd have become, will never be a reality. Because you will forever be 12 years old. That bullet has cut short your dream. It's only your dream, but the love. It's not only your dream, but the love. The affection we receive from you is now gone.
It's a sad thing. I mean, parents should not be burying their kids. It's the kids who are supposed to be burying their parents. But we always say the Lord is in charge of everything that is going on. And nothing is going to go unpunished, so to speak. It doesn't matter how long it will take. I know this was a stray bullet. I don't think the guy intended to shoot her. But at least somebody should be held accountable for some of these things. Now, I'm very sure you noticed that the fuel prices have gone up, right? And now Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro has strongly criticized the recent sharp increase in fuel prices, terming the government's explanation as misleading and incomplete. Speaking on the matter, Ndindi Nyoro questioned the justification given by the Ministry of Energy, which attributed the hike to global oil prices, despite data showing that the highest global oil prices were recorded last year, not this year. In the latest review, EPRA revealed that the prices for super, petrol, diesel, and kerosene increased by 8 shillings and 99 cents and 8.67 and 9.65 per litre respectively. As such, super petrol is retailing at 186.31, diesel retails at 171.56, and kerosene is retailing at 156.58 in Nairobi.
We saw the fuel prices going up yesterday drastically, and the explanation that was given by government is not accurate, because blaming the global oil prices is falling short of what the reality is. Because last year, for the last 1 year, the highest fuel prices we have seen were actually in June 17th of 2024. And in this calendar year, the highest prices we have seen were actually in January. But having said that, it is important for us to know that out of what Kenyans pay at the pump in terms of fuel prices, around half of that money is in terms of taxes and levies. Over 80 shillings of what people pay for petrol prices, over 80 shillings goes into taxes and levies. And of what Kenyans pay for other products or fuel other than petrol, over 76 shillings again goes into taxes and levies. In an oil-producing country like Kenya, the only tool a government is left with is altering the levies and taxes. This is where the problem is. The government of Kenya actually added a new levy last year of 7 shillings in the fuel prices. And how the government works is that time when the fuel prices are coming down, actually that's the reason why Kenya's never failed the global deceleration of the oil prices. Because it's around that time that the government introduced a secret 7 shillings in fuel levy. That is partly one of the problems why the fuel prices are going up. But the more unfortunate bit is that this year, the government has taken that 7 shillings, taken to the banks as security, and then they have taken a loan of 175 billion shillings. This money is not reflecting in the government books as a debt, and therefore it can only pass as an illegal debt.
Now, Higher Education Loans Board, HELB, now says it is not in a position to issue loans to newly enrolled university students. HELB has confirmed that more than 400,000 students are likely to miss out on education funding this year. The director of the loans, Geoffrey Monari, has told a parliamentary committee that the board will have to find an alternative solution to crack down defaulters of the loans.
And in this new financial year, we project that the deficit will be 36.1 billion, affecting 468,237 students. We propose to enact legislation to establish a dedicated student education levy on employers to ring-fence 3% out of the existing percentage VAT charged for direct allocation to HELB. The establishment of the Higher Education Savings Scheme. This savings scheme is a proposed long-term savings mechanism that could enable households, particularly parents, guardians, and salaried individuals, to systematically save for future higher education expenses.
Please do something so that in September, when the students are going to colleges, to universities, the mean tester goes to the approximate position of the parent.
All right, then, let's take a look at the newspapers. We start off with the Daily Nation. Look at that. Scandal of stolen free school funds. I mean, who is... You are stealing money that is meant to educate people, to take them through free education. You're stealing that. Surely. What kind of a caste individual is this? Phantom institutions fraudulently received 3.7 billion capitation for 4 years. They were taking money, yet that money was not being utilized. Mtu anaenda nao mfukoni. Hey. What? That is just strange. Yeah, these are ghost school. They are non-existent. I mean, these people, and obviously they must have worked with the Ministry of Education individuals, because there is no way the ministry is going to be sending money to individuals who don't exist. The Office of the Auditor General has exposed shocking fraud that saw 33 non-existent schools received billions of shillings in the past 4 years, even as thousands of public primary and secondary institutions across the country teeter on the brink of closure due to underfunding that has piled up to a staggering 107 billion. And these individuals who open these schools, you'll find them in places wakisema, hii nchi kuna corruption, kuna nini, mi sijui hii corruption tutaimaliza aje, ingei. $133,000 children miss key vaccines as coverage falls. That's according to new reports. New IEBC Vice Chairperson Fahima Abdallah, a woman of many fasts. PSC begins process of hiring registrar of political parties to replace Anderito. Then we have the story we just did a few minutes ago, where HELB Chief Monari says 163,000 people, students, missed loans due to cash constraints. Then Medic's autopsy on slain youth unclear. What do you mean? Oh, they're saying that they cannot establish the actual cause of death of the lady Julia Wangui Wamaitha, who died after collapsing at the Nanyuki Women's Prison. Okay. Murkomen, politicians being probed over deadly protests. You know, even as the probe continues, and I agree there needs to be a probe because politicians from both sides may have funded some of the goons. Let it not be forgotten that there was the goons part and there were the genuine protesters. Meaning there are people who went to the streets and protested because there is a reason why they went to the streets. So because there is a reason why they went to the streets, what we have to do, and what the government needs to do, is to find out why are people going to the streets. It is not just Ruto must go kind of thing. There is something that is taking people to the street. Find out what is causing the pain that is causing people to go to the streets, and then address that. Once you address that, people will not go to the streets. But unfortunately for politicians, they want to make it look as though people are just deciding to go to the streets, they're being paid to go to the streets, as though there is no reason. There is a reason. And that reason is what is causing people to go to the streets. The young people had stated some of the things that they wanted to address. Address those, or appear to be addressing them. And you will see a decline of the people who are willing to go to the streets, even despite the fact that during Sabasaba, close to 40 people died. You know what I'm saying? Address the issue and the symptoms disappear. Anyway, the B part, home support key to Stars' progress, local coaches say, now they just need to play well. If you play well, you will win, irrespective of where you are. And the supporters will come and add salt to that. Then we have the Star newspaper, it says police fired from ambulance during Sabasaba. What? Police opened fire while inside ambulances during the Sabasaba probe. During the Sabasaba rather, this is according to a probe. And then there you have the picture of the 12-year-old who was shot while watching TV at home. And then Murkomen to direct police on the use of force. It is not him who is supposed to direct. I mean, there is a standard procedure within the force on how you're supposed to use a firearm. It's not supposed to come to the CS or from the president for that matter. There is a way when you're given a firearm, there are laid down guidelines on what you're supposed to do. You're only supposed to use lethal force when your life is a danger, when the other individual is armed and is planning to take out your life, and that kind of stuff, defending property. So, I don't know, man. Nyoro decries soaring fuel prices, secretive borrowing. So he said, if you listen to the video, that there is secretive, there is 170 something billion shillings that was borrowed using the fuel levy as security. So a lot of that, and that's the reason why you're seeing the fuel prices going up, according to him. Now, police used unmarked vehicles and ambulances to trail and target protesters for shooting during the Sabasaba demonstration. This is according to a preliminary report by a consortium of human rights organizations that has been released. Then you have man jailed for 40 years for killing woman with a stone. Appeal judges say courts are moving away from imposing life sentences. Then you have that story of capitation where funds were stolen, sent to school were stolen. And then Wetangula hails Ruto mass hiring of teachers. And then the back page of the Star, scaling heights. Rising Stars keeper Wanjala Kibet sign for La Liga teams. This is so nice. This is very nice. Kenya under-20 skippers Amos Wanjala and forward Adrin Kibet. And then the Star newspaper is where we are at right now. Not the Star, the Standard newspaper. Reign of anarchy. And then you have chilling warning from burnt hospitals to brazen looting. Kenya is spiraling into a state of orchestrated anarchy, fueled not by criminals in the shadows, but by power-hungry elites in plain sight, as goons terrorize citizens and vigilantes rise in retaliation. The government issues threat with one hand and shield allies with the other. With the 2027 polls looming, what the country is witnessing isn't just unrest. It's a chilling rehearsal. That's what they're saying. It's a rehearsal for 2027. 42 number of those killed on June 25th and June 7th. This is government accounts with activists saying at least 57 people died. 600 people who are injured in protests, with Interior CS Murkomen claiming bulk 496 are police officers. That's a lie. That's not true. Then you have 1,500 those in police custody arrested in relation to the demos, while majority were released. 121 face charges ranging from terrorism to arson. Court declares state takeover of Gatoto School in Mukuru illegal. Court finds twins legal heirs of ex-minister Shitanda. The family court in Nairobi has ruled that Kande Kavete and her twin sister Brandy Mbevu are entitled to inherit from the estate of the late former housing minister and Malava MP Soita Shitanda. Justice Hilary Chemitei found that the sisters had demonstrated substantial evidence of their father's financial support during his life. And the guys had got, hii mali na utakufa tu iwache hapa. You know, I was examining, I was seeing something, some of these graphics, and the guy was talking about what happens to you the moment you're buried, or the moment you die. Once life is, by the 10th or by the 12th day after your burial, once you've accessed the soil, there are things that come from within you. Zinaanza tu kukukula. Sasa ukipigania mali to a point where unaenda kuuana, surely. Vane. How officers shot senior detective's son walking home on Sabasaba Day. Robert Mwiti addresses the media after the postmortem result that revealed that his younger brother, James Gashara, died from bullet injuries. And there's also a senior detective's son who was shot. So it was not just civilians, and the civilians are also connected to the police. So police officers, as you open fire, be careful. You may be killing your own son without knowing. Then how go students and schools gobbled up 3.7 billion. Kenya's rapid slide into anarchy raises fears of violence in 2027 election. Then expert link protest violence to 2027 contest. And then the back page of the Standard, it is Aldrin Kibet's moment. Let him shine. Wacha apate kazi huko nje. Right. Remember, in a couple of minutes, we'll be having a discussion about some of the things that are happening in this country. And not only that, the mindset that will make you ride the wave. Because the wave is coming, the wave is here, but what kind of mindset is going to help you to ride it so that you come out on the other side successful, all right? Let's take that break.